Brother, sister, twister, this is Radio Productivista. I'm the wordsmith, Mr. Mo, and the host of this sweet little radio show. As you know, it's called All Over the Place, a repeating attempt to promote a blissful pace. I say hi and welcome, of course, to you, because it's a beautiful thing that humans do. What's going down, everyone? It's me, lazy as always, on the microphone. And yes, you're right, I took a break. It was a little breakdown rather. My body was exhausted from the round-the-clock work during the 3 or 4 weeks that preceded, and my mind had so much to process. Yes, I got sick. Yeah, isn't that sad? Of course, we could all be shocked and terrified about such a depressing incident. But then, everything that happens to us is information that we can misinterpret, ignore, or work with. And if we use the information to work with it, that is to understand better, to learn and to improve on different levels, then getting sick can be beneficial too. Yes. The last weeks have been an intense adventure of testing concepts, developing new ideas, and getting this heavy and complex thing into the air without crashing into the ground right afterwards again. It's kind of experimenting with rockets, with one rocket, the Productivista, the Productive, the El Mundo Productivista rocket. I would be lying if I called the first landing of this rocket ship a smooth one. But it wasn't a crash either, and that to me is a huge relief. It is. Ooh, drama. I used to bathe in drama. I loved drama. But that's not what this is about. 'Cause it is about wit is a power you can't resist. Yeah, ego is a construct that does not exist. I'm so small, I'd even say tiny. And here comes a thinker I think of highly. Collected these thoughts because I thought you might like these thoughts a lot. Think of them as spiritual gates. Tend to call them lazy squares. Yeah. Wit is a power that you can't resist. The ego a construct that does not exist. I'm so small, I'd even say tiny. Here comes a thinker I think of highly. I collected these thoughts because I thought that you might like these thoughts a lot. Think of them as spiritual gates and tend to call them lazy squares. piece of content that I started some days ago. The working title is A Breakdown, Broken Down. And at one point in this piece I say the following. And then there's a lot more that happened in that moment of reflection, but those are topics for another time. That's what I say in that piece. And that is a problem in my life that I've been struggling with for 20 years now. I still haven't found a satisfying working solution for it. Those topics for another time, or rather, all of those topics, they are driving me insane. And this madness happens while I'm working with doctors, therapists and social workers and psychiatrists to help them cope with their stress, their clients and the whole shebang of the therapeutic process. Isn't that ironic? I'm a fucking cliché. That's what I am. I was deeply challenged by trauma in my life from the early days on. I accepted that challenge and I went through a long healing process. But these other attacks on my sanity, these constant attacks that happen through my temperament and the way my brain and organism interact when it comes to writing and creating content, these attacks are as real as the traumata were. They're not as terrifying, of course, but they're not a joke either. The questions I'm constantly confronted with, how can I translate the content ideas, the stories, the concepts, the memes and the challenges I deal with from morning till evening into content without feeling overwhelmed all the time and without overwhelming you, that is. How can I create content that is inspiring, entertaining and deeply helpful instead of drowning in this abundance of good stuff? How can I keep going with all of what I'm already doing while still struggling with this major issue which resides at the core of everything that my work is about? So it's time to get to the quote. I mean, that's what Lazy's Grades is about, isn't it? So Brendan Francis said, to solve a problem is the best way to get rid of it. And I say, oh, thank you so much, Brendan Francis, for this important revelation. I would have never thought of that. Thinkers, I think of highly, that is, yeah. To solve a problem is the best way to get rid of it. Yeah, makes sense. And then, yeah, it seems obvious, but he's still right, because that's not necessarily what we do, right? Solve problems. We cultivate them. A lot of times. In the teams, the US Special Forces, for example, they have the imperative, work the problem. So instead of running away from it, instead of hiding from it, instead of doing some other stuff to not think of the problem, they say just get to the problem heads on and work it. And there's a lot to be said about this approach. We will get to that with time, and yes, that is, in fact, a recursion of the before-mentioned problem. We will get back to that, because there's a lot to be said about this topic. Also, what can we do in order to deal with this mess? If I had to come up with one next step in the process of tackling this enormous challenge, then this step were to acknowledge the magnitude and complexity of the issue. Before, I always thought that I just had to solve that problem quick and then I could get back to business or start the business. Now I understand that there's no quick fix at all and I will never get to business if I wait for that problem to be solved, to resolve itself, or for me to finally take the bull by its horn. I will probably need a lot of time and grit, and so do you. And I will be constantly challenged to regain my centeredness, my ease, and my productive flow. And so do you when it comes to nagging and challenging problems. So I will do that dancing with this anxiety-triggering, larger-than-life beast. And I come to understand, and that's what leads me to the dance floor when it comes to this problem. I come to understand that it's a good thing, to dance with this larger-than-life beast, because Now I can dedicate one part of my constant content production to documenting the process of me taming that beast. Yes, that sounds complex. Yes, it is. And yes, that's another recursion. I will document how I move from being intimidated by the challenges that come with being exposed to new stories, ideas and concepts all the time, at least that's what I plan to do, to a mode where I will hopefully deal with that abundance in a blissful and, why not, a virtuoso way. And there could be a major benefit for you, of course. You might find some inspiration on how to deal with the pressing problems you feel overwhelmed by and have tried to escape from for quite a while already, haven't you? So why not get started today? What were today's lessons then? I can isolate 3 at last. First, work the problem. Stop running away. Stop telling yourself there were a way to get around that problem. It will come up again and again and again. Work it. Solve it. Second, take the next little step. Whatever that little step is. You don't have to plan a lot. You don't have to understand a lot. Just get a feel for the situation and follow your intuition and come up with the first next little step you can take to deal with that problem. And third, that one little step might be, at least when it comes to complex things with feelings of being overwhelmed by a challenge, that comes with dealing with complexity. That little step could be to honor and acknowledge the magnitude and complexity of the challenge at hand. So, Brandon Francis, thanks. To solve a problem is the best way to get rid of it. It's time for the weather. Yes. The weather. It was nice, then it got wetter. Was that bad or was that better? To be honest, it didn't matter. It got warm too, which I really love. Had a jacket on, then took it off. I rode the bike, walked through the city, in awe at times, the world's so pretty. This is the love life, nitty gritty. Your love, your life, that seemed so shitty. Gone all of a sudden, that familiar self-pity. And life becomes what it's always been, all pure and pretty.
What does he do? Say, what does he do? What does he do? Say, what does he do? What does he do? Say, what does he do? I think lazy creates. What does he do? Say, what does he do? What does he do? Say, what does he do? What does he do? Say, what does he do? I think lazy creates.
There's something I have to admit. This is a confession. I'm really sorry, but I do not care about you that much anymore. And that might allow me to provide content, events, and different kinds of experiences in a much more inspiring way than before. In the piece of content that I mentioned before, the one I'm working on right now, the broken down thing, I say the following. The severe urge for your feedback and resonance has gone. I've healed that part of myself and set free the hungry spirit, gaki, as we called them in Japanese Soto Zen. That hungry spirit that had been controlling my mind for so long. I'm good with everything that happens, just following more or less my flow. You're still there, you're still here. You're listening, and that makes me happy, because it is you I'm addressing with all of this. But there's a probability you're not ready yet. There's a possibility you're not interested when it comes to the depth of what I'm offering. And you might be absorbed by a lot of other stuff going on in your life, as we all are. And that's totally fine with me, because you do your thing, and I do my thing. I can live and work with ease, thinking that there might be a little something every once in a while among the thoughts, the music, and the vibe I'm sharing that you can take into your life to become more vital, more agile, and happier. And I'm grateful for that opportunity. So what is so positive about that development, you might ask? Should you be happy for me and the fact I was able to leave a prison I kept myself trapped in with my own thinking? Well, that would be nice, of course, but that's not necessarily why I share the news. The good news is we can heal, we can change, we can become more of what we are meant to be. The good news is that there are ways to overcome the safety measurements that have become mental and emotional barriers inside of ourselves. The good news is that we can let go of the stories, the habits, and the muscle tension that helped us deal with overwhelm when we were younger. The good news is that even if we might feel trapped inside of the current conditions of our life, we can free ourselves from the mental imprisonment. We can become more agile, and we can turn our lives around. So what else should we talk about? Oh yeah, of course, the upcoming events. There will be more stuff coming up, that's for sure, but I'm still working on rhythm and rituals. It would take me some more time to come up with something consistent. That's what happens when you're in the business of launching rockets, or both. So please bear with me while I'm figuring stuff out. There will probably be a German edition of this radio show tomorrow in the morning, around 7:30. That one's called A Bissle was von allem. It's not German only, it might be Badisch as well, which is the dialect we talk here in the southwestern part of Germany. So one thing's sure, there's two things that are sure already because they're planned for this week. On Saturday evening from 8 p.m. on, there will be the next edition of Strictly Dance, and we will approach it in a different way. We mix up dance genres from Saturday to Saturday, probably every other Saturday. So that's another thing to find out and to be decided upon. Before I was thinking about doing bumpy house sets on these Saturdays, but I found that a bit boring, so I decided to change that, and there will be different genres, like there could be a swingy thing, there could be some urban sound, some funk, there could be some Latin stuff, there could be house as well, the bumpy kind, but also the what I'd call minimal drive kind. So we'll mix up these things, and probably I will play two genres on each Saturday when there's a Strictly Dance thing going on. As always, you can join both on the stream and in person in a corner here in Karlsruhe if you feel like joining me and maybe others here. There will be some people hanging out, that's already sure, also from 8 p.m. on, that is. And if it's for the stream, that's like always, live.lazy.mo. On Sunday, I have the pleasure to have my dear friend and colleague Stephen Cadona over. He's a therapist, he's also a musician, and he's very intrigued and working his way into the world of mindfulness and meditation practice. So that would be the next edition of Lazy's Lifetime, coming up on Sunday from 11 on. That's 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. As always, there will be a stream, and you can also attend in person as you please. And there's one more thing I'd like to talk about, and that is on Saturday the 24th in Pforzheim. There's a great competition going on. It's a Southern Germany competition, dance competition of the urban dance styles. I think that's mostly hip-hop from what I imagine. It's the United Dance Organization that organizes, and there will be lots of crews, maybe also individuals showing up and competing against each other. And one of those crews, or two of those crews, my bonus daughter, she's part of that. She's 10, and she's at a school that's called The School in Offenburg, and it's a really great place because they know how to get those kids to give their all, and it's a real pleasure to see their choreographies and the way they go about business when it comes to dancing, and let children unfold their flow on the dance floor. So that's the 24th, a Saturday, the whole day in Pforzheim, which is close to Karlsruhe also. And it's the Southern Germany competition of the United Dance Organization. So if ever you feel like going there, that's an interesting way to spend your Saturdays, and you can probably even take your kids along. That's what I will most probably do.